Varanasi. He's establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
What is the title of the chapter?
How all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. And Mahaprabhu's been through the Chatu Shloki and explaining in terms of Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. So we'll pick up there. Ataiva Bhagavate Tina Koe Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan Moe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, thus one's relationship with the Lord, activities in devotion, and the attainment of the highest goal of life, love of Godhead, are the subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. These are the four, seed shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they are all concerning Krishna, one's relationship with Krishna. So that is the true subject matter of Bhagavatam. Mahaprabhu is presenting to these impersonalists. And now he's going to quote 2 shlokas which are also supporting this, also from Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanam advayam brahmeti paramadmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. The absolute truth is known by the self-realized souls as a unified identity known by different names. Impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you are thinking the absolute is Brahman or Brahma, this non-differentiated plane of consciousness and light. But that is only one aspect. And one of 3, and that is the most undeveloped, we can say, amongst these 3. So there's Brahman aspect, Paramatma aspect, and then Bhagavan aspect. Bhagavan, this is another quotation from Bhagavatam. Bhagavan eka asedam agra atmatmanam vibhu atme cha nugatavatma anana matyupalakshana. Before the cosmic manifestation was created, the creative propensity was merged in the Supreme Lord's person. At that time, all potencies and manifestations were preserved in his personality. The Lord is the cause of all causes, and he is the all-pervading, self-sufficient person. Before the creation, he existed with his spiritual potency in the spiritual world, wherein various Vaikuntha planets are manifested. And now this next verse, this is another famous verse from Bhagavatam, which everyone knows. Ete chamsha kalapam sa krishnastu bhagavan swayam indradi vyakulam lokam mridayanti yuge yuge. So Shukadev has given description of so many different avatars, and then at the end, to make his point clear, he's saying, but Krishna is supreme. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. Heto sambandha shuno abhideya bhakti bhagavate pratishloke vyape jahastiti. This is one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now please hear about the execution of devotion. This principle pervades each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So,
why was that the enemies of Indra?
That's that's the second line of this phrase. The point is that he comes to destroy the demons. Because there's always this battle between the devas and the asuras, right? So Krishna's he's always coming to protect the devas. I mean, I don't think it has very much significance. It's some I expect it's some what's the word I'm looking for? Like some idiomatic thing in the Vedic culture or something, It's not so significant. And the main line there is the first one, Ete chamsha kalapumsha krishnastu bhagavam swayam. He protects the world in every age. He protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. This is like along the lines of Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhutanam, right? You know that verse, right? When there's an uprising of irreligion and a decline of proper religion, then I appear. I think that's the point being made. When the demonic mentality or the demonic persons, they are becoming more powerful, then I appear at that time. But I expected some, colloquialism or some idiomatic thing, because otherwise there's no reason why Indra would be mentioned. His position is not so important. Okay. Now this is another citation from Bhagavatam, very beautiful verse that we hear many times quoted. Bhaktyaham ekaya graja shadayatma priyasatam bhakti punati manishta shwapakan api sambhavat. Lord Krishna said, being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotion. This bhakti yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a human being born among dog-eaters. That is to say, everyone can be elevated to the spiritual platform by the process of bhakti yoga. And we also see in many places Krishna is referred to by a particular name that associates him with the killer of some demon, like Murari. This word Ari means something like to defeat or to kill. So, it's the demon, the Mora demon, Murari, that means the killer of the Mora demon. And there are many. I don't know if I can remember more right now, but there's many names like that. That if we say the name, but actually the meaning is kind of funny. He's the killer of this demon. Or what's the one in Raghunath Das Goswami's prayer? Ashabare mita sindhu mayai katanji kalo mayati yamata kila sampraham twanche kripam mayi vidasasi naivikim praner rajena cha bakari napi. That's another Bakari, the killer of the Bakasura. So he has many names like that. I cannot say why. Something. And why those names are chosen. So, I mean, in that verse I can see, but other times, it seems kind of funny. So this verse is very nice. Lord is saying, I'm conquered by devotion, and even the most, degraded person, they can become purified by devotion. And there's other verses along these lines, and even if someone may be very highly qualified, have all the Brahminical qualifications, but if they have no devotion, I'm not interested. But another may be born amongst the lowest class of men, be degraded, their background may be very degraded, but if they have devotion, they are the best of all men. So such is the position of devotion. Okay, now we have another quotation from Bhagavatam. Na sadayati mam yogo, na sankyam dharma udava, na swadhyayas tapastyago, yata bhaktir mamurjita. The Supreme Lord Krishna said, "My dear Uddhava, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism, or an analytical study of the absolute truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas, can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotion unto me." And now this next verse is a very important and famous verse in Bhagavatam. Bhayam dvitiya binivesha syad ishad apetasya viparya yosmriti tanmayaya to buddha abhajit tam bhaktyayika yesham guru deva tatma. So this verse is it's very helpful. It's describing how the living entity turns away from Krishna and what happens when they do that, and then how can they again turn back towards Krishna. So when the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from, it's difficult though because this translation is a little confusing, but when the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. Because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, his conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. So instead of being a servant of Krishna, one wants to be Krishna in one sense. One wants to be the center. This is completely opposite. This is so far removed from our real identity. This is called viparya yosmriti. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotion. So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has discussed this verse many times. And the way that the first line is phrased, it's very interesting. That in itself, that in itself is its own discussion, just the first line. Bhayam dvitiya biniveshata syad. So, boy, by, fear, right? Abhaya, charanada, right? So, how does fear come about? Dvitiya abhinivesh. Dvitiya means second. So, it's saying, and then abhinivesh, to be absorbed in. So, and syad, it arises. So, fear arises from the perception of a second thing. That's what it's saying. Fear arises from the perception of something else. So what does that mean? It means perceiving an interest other than Krishna's interest. The conception of independence and, separate interest and independence. So in the normal condition, the soul is Krishna conscious, Krishna centric, and in that state, Srila Sridhar Maharaj describes it very nicely. This situation that we're in as lack of guardian consciousness, because if we really feel that we have a guardian over us, and that our interest is one with his interest, then there's never any need for anxiety. There's never any need for fear. Because we will feel, really, whatever is coming to me, it's not an accident, it's not random, and it's not against me. It's not like there's some big plot. and I'm the victim here, and everyone's out to get me. The whole environment is conspiring. That's how we think sometimes. But with consciousness of our guardian, of Krishna, that my guardian is there, Krishna is there, he's in control, and everything that's coming, he's allowing that to happen. So it must be good for me. Then one will never have any fear, one will never have any anxiety, any apprehension, because I have no other interest than my Lord's interest. My interest is synonymous with Krishna's interest. There's no conception of a separate interest. My interest is one with his interest, and he's orchestrating the environment. So why should there be any fear? Why should there ever be any apprehension? So it's a very wonderful point. So fear is the result of the conception of separate interest. So the soul perceives, has some conception of separate interest. They turn away from the Lord. They become caught by the illusory energy, and this word is this phrase viparyayo smriti. Here it's rendered as this reversal. It also, I've seen Srila Swami Maharaj rendered elsewhere as topsy-turvy. Then our mentality, our consciousness becomes totally reversed. So as Srila Swami Maharaj has said here, instead of having the consciousness of being a servant of Krishna, we have just the opposite consciousness, that we want to be a master, that we want to have servants, not that we want to be a servant. It's just the opposite. So we think this body is us, when it's totally the opposite. We are spirit, we are soul. So our whole conception is like upside down and inside out. And then this very interesting phrase is here, that Maya is referred to particularly as his Maya, Tan Maya, Tasya Maya. So it's it's very deliberately phrased like that. That Maya is not independent. So this is also. This also reminds us of the Gita verse. How does it go? Daivi hiesha gunamayi mama maya, right? You know that verse, right? Daivi hiesha gunamayi mama maya durataya mam eva ye prapadyante ayam etam tarantide. Very famous verse in Gita. Where Krishna is saying, this Maya, it's practically impossible to overcome it. But mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. One who surrenders to me, they can cross over Maya. But there also, it's phrased, Krishna is saying, mama Maya, my Maya. Now Maya is bothering you, but if I give her the order, she'll let you go. So the approach is not to pray to Maya directly, please leave me alone, but you go to her boss. And you get the favor of her boss, and then he'll give the orders. So here also the same idea, his Maya, So, in other words, if you surrender to Krishna, then she will leave you alone. And then Buddha, who is intelligent, who is wise, in this situation, one who's got themselves into, you can sit in a chair, don't be shy. So if one has got themselves in the situation and they get some intelligence, then what will they do? They will surrender to Guru and Krishna and serve them with devotion. Bhaktyai Kayesham Guru Deva Tatma. And this phrase, Guru Deva Tatma, it's been discussed very extensively by our acharyas, and there are different ways it's understood, but as I recall, the main way that Gurudev explained it according to one commentary was that one will worship Guru considering them to be worship Guru in the same way that they worship the Lord, and this word Atma is given to convey a sense of belovedness, very dear that Guru should be considered as dear as oneself. So Guru should be worshipped like Krishna, and also considered to be like one's best friend, you could say, with some love, some intimacy, some feeling of closeness. So very, very nice verse, and it's a very deep verse. I'm just, I'm according to my capacity giving some superficial discussion, but even that is so nice. It's so nice so valuable for us. Even with a cursory, superficial understanding, that is very helpful for us. Okay, can continue. Ebe Shuno, so he's quoting all these verses, now Mahaprabhu's continuing. Ebe Shuno Premaje Mul Prayojan Pulakashu Nitya Gita Jahar Lakan. Now hear from me what actual love of Godhead is. It is the prime object of life and is symptomized by bodily trembling, tears in the eyes, chanting and dancing. So one who has Krishna Prema, what will be their symptoms? Like this. They will show all these ecstatic symptoms. And unfortunately, there are many persons who they do it the other way around. Not praying first and then symptoms after, but symptoms first. Thinking they can get praying in that way. But that is objective evolution of consciousness. That has no value. We are interested in the subjective evolution. From the subjective plane, then forcefully something will appear on the objective plane. From the heart to the tongue. We were discussing this the other day. Not from the tongue to the heart, to the plane of consciousness. First, it must be in the plane of consciousness, and then from the plane of consciousness, there will be revelation in the outer world, in the objective world. So we were discussing this the other day and going through the last verse of Sharanagati, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes this point. And now we have another quotation from Bhagavatam. Smaranta smadayant Ch.Ch. Smaranta smadayant Ch.Ch. Mito goga haram hidim. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Vibratjutpula kam tanum. A very nice verse. Pure devotees manifest spiritual bodily symptoms of ecstatic love simply by remembering and reminding others of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who takes away everything inauspicious from the devotee. This position is attained by rendering devotion according to the regulative principles, and then rising to the platform of spontaneous love. So this phrase, smaranta smadayantyascha, we've heard Gurudev quote, and very nice. It's saying, it's describing like the whole nature of sadhu, of keeping an association of the devotee, sadhu sangha, that we are remembering and we are being reminded. So this is the value of association, that sometimes we may be the ones remembering, and other times we may be reminding others, and other times others may be reminding us. This is so beautiful and so essential, and we experience that in our friendships in Krishna consciousness, that sometimes we may be in a weaker position and others are reminding us, and then other times it may be the other way around. That we are reminding them, we are giving remembrance to them. And then, also just, like in any discussion, one will have, in some, discussion of devotion, one will have something to say, then another will have something to say, and this wonderful exchange is going on. So this also reminds us of the Gita verse we were reading last week, Mak Chitta, Madgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Kata, how does it go? Remember that verse? Katayantas Nityam. But this is describing this wonderful exchange that is going on, this mutual appreciation in discussion of the Lord. They are inspiring one another. And also this phrase here in the second line, Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya. This Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Gurudev also quotes, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj many times quotes. And literally it says, Bhakti is born from Bhakti. Bhaktya Sanjataya Bhaktya. Bhakti arises from Bhakti. So we've heard this explained in two ways. One way that that devotion, it is an independent thing. Bhakti cannot come through just following some practices and some process, but bhakti has to be received from the Vaishnava, from one who has bhakti. In other words, bhakti will come from one who has bhakti. Of course, bhakti is something that we already have in like an embryo form, but we need the contact of a realized soul, a realized Vaishnava, in order to awaken that, like a candle flame, like a candle, that example is given. The candle, it needs to be lit from some outside source. So one cannot, that's the speciality of bhakti, because in the processes of karma and gyan, you can just, practice and follow so many things and you can get the desired result. But in bhakti, it doesn't work like that. You need to have the connection of the Vaishnava. And that's what makes one's activity meaningful. And, we are doing so many things in this temple, and it's meaningful because it's under the auspices of our Gurudev. It was his desire that this would take place. Then it's giving us the opportunity for service. And then it's meaningful, giving us the opportunity to please him. So then we can actually get some spiritual results because of that. Otherwise, anyone can go and open a temple and ring bells and read books and read scripture, but it's like an empty shell if the connection of the Vaishnava is not there. So bhakti will come from bhakti. And also we can understand that, in association with other Vaishnavas, what devotion they have, it may be extended to us. If we are hearing from the Vaishnavas, we are serving the Vaishnavas, then what wealth they have in their hearts, that may be extended to us. And then another way, I've heard Srila Gurudev explain this verse, is that Bhaktya Sanjatya, bhakti is born from bhakti, that if we have just a little bit of real bhakti, then it will grow. It will grow. It will develop. We may have something very small, but if it's real, then over the course of time, it will develop. It will grow. There's that verse, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi, lava macha sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. All the scriptures are saying sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha. Just, one second's association with the sadhu, you can get everything from that, And Srila Swami Maharishi, he used that to explain how in his own life he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on one occasion, and then 10 years went by, without him. Or was it 10 years? I don't remember. It was years. It was a long time where he didn't have contact. Maybe before he took initiation, and he had little association and mostly just working in his job. But he said that, he had that one meeting and it impressed him very deeply. And he would be in his work, with taking care of his family, but there was a part of him that was always remembering that meeting and thinking, oh, I met a real sadhu, and over time, that appreciation within him, it grew and grew. Like we may have some very short association, but some seed is being planted there, and that will grow and that will develop. So also, if one has real devotion, then it will grow. At present, it may not appear there's so much, but if it is real, if it is the real thing, then it can only grow. Some persons may come and show themselves to have so many devotional qualities and doing many things, but we see, how many people have we seen, who come and they disappear, and they may show for some time that they're so qualified, but it is some emotional, it is a very superficial relationship. But others you see, maybe they're not looking so bright, in the beginning, and maybe they're not doing so much, but they got something real in their heart, and you see that they maintain whatever attachment and connection they have, they maintain that, and at a certain time, then it will blossom, it will grow. Maybe not right now, but in the future, the appropriate time and place, environment, it will show its full form, full beauty. So that is the nature of true devotion.
You were saying the analogy of a candle, and there's the other like a lamp in a windless place. If the candles with lots of other candles, there's less chance of being extinguished.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to continue now. And now these are all very nice Bhagavatam verses. This is another Bhagavatam verse that Mahaprabhu, this is at least the second time, he quotes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Evam vrata swapriya nama kirtya jatanurago juta chitta uchai hasatya toroditi roti gayat yunmadava nrityati lokabhaja. When a person is actually advanced and takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is very dear to him, he is agitated and loudly chants the holy name. He also laughs, cries, becomes agitated, and chants like a madman, not caring for outsiders. When a person is actually advanced and takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is very dear to him, He is agitated and loudly chants the holy name. He also laughs, cries, becomes agitated, and chants like a madman, not caring for outsiders. This Sankirtan movement, we're practicing it now, but actually for one whose, devotion has awakened, it is just a natural expression of devotion. When one has great love for the Lord, then naturally they want to sing His glories, they want to dance, in their expression of joy. Dance is an expression of joy, and the chanting is an expression of love, calling upon the Lord's names, and they will be so absorbed in that they won't care for what outside people think. Ataiva Bhagavata Sucharta Rupa Nija Krita Sucha Nija Bhashya Swarupa. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the actual meaning of the Vedanta Sutra. The author of the Vedanta Sutra is Vyasadeva, and he himself has explained those aphorisms in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, generally these impersonalists, they consider the Vedanta Sutra to be like the top. But here Mahaprabhu is saying, actually Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary on that Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam is more valuable for us. And then he's giving evidence. This is a verse quoted many times by our gurus. Artoyam, from the Garuda Purana. Artoyam Brahma Sutranam Bharatarta Vinirnaya Gayachi Bhasha Ruposo Vedarta Paribrimhita Purananam Samarupa Sakshad Bhagavatodita Dwadasha Skanda Yuktoyam Shata Vicheda Samyuta Granto Shtadasha Sahasra Srimad Bhagavatavida. The meaning of the Vedanta Sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there, and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme Purana, and it was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. So here it mentions the first part, Artoyam Brahma Sutranam. So here the Vedanta Sutra is being referred to as the Brahma Sutra. Sometimes it's called also, Gurudev used to say Vedanta Darshan. And then generally we'll see Vedanta Sutra, but also as here, Brahma Sutra. So Arto means the meaning. So Srimad Bhagavatam, it is giving the meaning, because the Vedanta Sutra is very condensed, right? Very short and cryptic, condensed phrases. And it is, very difficult to understand. I don't think it's in the Vedanta Sutra, but it's in the style of the Upanishads. And the example Gurudev would often give is saying that he has no legs, but he moves more quickly than anyone. He has no eyes, but he can see everything, and so on. And so these very cryptic phrases, the meaning is not very clear. And so it's easy to take an impersonal, apply an impersonal interpretation. But of course, the point in verses like that is to establish. It's not to establish that the Lord has no eyes and has no legs, but that He has no material eyes and He has no material legs. That His form is spiritual. So His form, the point is that His form is spiritual, it is not material. He has spiritual form. Why is that such a difficult thing to grasp? Why is that hard for people to understand? I don't understand. That as there is material form, may there not be spiritual form? What is so challenging there? I don't know. But no, they prefer to annihilate all form and say what's spiritual must have no form. So anyhow, these are the devotees of Vedanta Sutra. That's their main book. And Mahaprabhu is saying here, you cannot understand Vedanta Sutra properly unless you go through Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam is the commentary of Vedanta Sutra. And so for that reason, in our Sampradaya, there originally was no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, because generally every Sampradaya would have its own commentary, and it was like a standard thing. It's even described in the scriptures that one what constitutes a Sampradaya. There are certain criteria, and one of those is that you must have your own commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. But because Mahaprabhu said Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary of Vedanta Sutra, then there was no commentary in the Gaudiya line until relatively recently. Well, maybe not relatively recently, but Baladev Vijayabhushan, I don't know when that was, maybe like the 1700s or something like that. But it's interesting because Rup, Sanatan, Jiva Goswami, they wrote so much, Jiva Goswami alone, what was it, 400,000 verses, Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. Jiva Goswami wrote 400,000 verses. So Jiva Goswami he covered so much. So it's quite interesting and significant that they didn't write a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, which was something that was expected for a Sampradaya. But the reason for that is because Mahaprabhu had said that Bhagavatam is the commentary. We don't need to write something separate. But then later, because of that particular challenge that came in Jaipur, then Baladev Vijayabhushan, he saw there was some necessity to write. So then he wrote the Govinda Vasha commentary, the Gaudiya commentary in Vedanta Sutra. But before that, it was not there. Okay, we're going to stop there. Any last comments, anything from anybody? Whose turn is it to sing? Radharani? Krishna Hini won't sing, right? Oh, we don't force anybody here. Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya
Keshavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. Nividari Gopinatha Madana Mohana. Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Radha Java Shri Vasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raghunatha. Gopala Bhakta Rasa Raghunatha. Jai Gosai Gauri Jagannathana.
Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki
Jai.
Shri Krishna Aspardas Ki
Jai.
Samayita Bhaktavinda Ki
Jai.
Nam Sankirtan Ki
Jai.
Vishakha Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Hari Bol.